I am done talking. What I'm going to do right now, with my freshman on my armpits, is pass the mic and the conversation to these two awesome doctors. So Dr. Kevin Simon and Dr. Jaykyri Simpson, please take it away.
Thank you. Good job, Elo. By the way, Elo just started here. I want to say it was the end of February. So he has really hit the ground and running. So huge kudos to you, Elo, and thank you. And the person who behind this, him and Marsha as well, Max with all the screens. Max just started, I think, last week, but it feels like he's been here for 3 years already. Max has hit the ground running. And so huge kudos to those guys. And Marsha, thank you for planning all this. So before I get into this, I just wanted to say that. And I think right now what I want to do is just share with you how we're going to spend the next hour. This is not school. You guys can relax a little bit. Get your apple ciders, the IPAs. The young man, you stay on this side. But everybody else will get the IPAs and good food over there. Dr. Simon and I had an opportunity to connect, I think about 2 years ago. We were on the Children's Hospital panel. And when I was listening to him, I was like, oh, okay. And he said some things and some things that we talk about a lot over here at Young Man, but we talk about it from this space. We don't talk about it from his space, him being certified and studying and clinical. And I'm just like, okay, I need to talk to him again. And so as busy as he is, he decided to come over here and break bread with his boys. So I really appreciate that. And for those of you who don't know, I'm going to say this really short. Even though they said it in the video, Young Men with a Plan is a holistic mentoring program. So when you look at this weight room, you look at that kitchen, you look at that bathroom, you go upstairs and see those computers, that's a part of it. We are a school away from school. We are a home away from home. So if there's anything that we don't have, donate it. But yes, so what we're going to do, so on my left, you see some of the stresses. So we asked the young man, both the current students and some alums. We just had a wonderful alumni event last week. And we asked them, like, man, you know what? Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Name the top 3 stresses in your life. So when you read these screens, you see on the right side, that's the current students. You see on the left side, that's the alums. And the bigger the word, the more it was written. This is from age 14 to 25. So I'm going to just let you sit with that for a little bit. Not too long, because we're on a time schedule. And then I'm going to add some context to these words based on what I've been able to see over here working in this space for 10 years. Even before I say this, I'm going to continue to say this like I was telling Dr. Simon, like I tell the board, like I tell everybody I talk to about this work. And the reason I got a script because I can go out on a tangent. We better sound the alarms because our young people are suffering. And as an adult, we have this privilege to go home and go to sleep in our beds or whatever we're doing. They are going through it. So that is why we're here. So when I see the words on the screens, and the bigger the word, you see money, school, and family. Family, school, and money, school, and family. That's something that we all think about, right? But I think for me, what I see the most of, and what, tends to stick out over the 10 years, is not being good enough. And that's a hard thing. That's really hard for me because in my 10 years, that has been the most consistent message that I got from young men when I asked, like, what's going on? Like, why do you feel this way? Then I'm also thinking about myself. I'm like, okay. And then you don't want to project. And the message has changed. Like 10 years ago, there wasn't no TikTok. Now we got TikTok. 10 years ago, it was Facebook, some other things. Now we have Twitch and all these threads and all these things. Times have changed, but I still have young men telling me that they're not good enough. And so I continuously ask my team, continuously ask the parents. I'm continuously asking people like what and why, what is really going on here. And so the things that I continue to see, school disengagement has worsened. I don't even know if I want to finish the rest of the sentence. School disengagement has worsened, you can fill in the blank, since COVID. There was a pandemic we were already dealing with before COVID, and that pandemic was the wealth gaps. But since COVID, the wealth gaps continue to widen, again, while we're here. But the disengagement is something different because you and I, it goes back to what I just said, we have the opportunity. Where's Miss Parsons? Sue Parsons, she's in here. I can call Sue up. Hey, Sue, let's go meet up for coffee. We can do that. We're adults. We can afford to do that. But socializing, as the young people knew it, stopped. And then we asked them to just adjust and be flexible and be agile like us. How can you ask that of them when we're barely being able to do it? And so I see that school disengagement. I asked a young man the last week, I said, hey, man, I see these grades here. Why you got that? He said, I'm just bored. And no, before we even get there, I'm not blaming the teacher. She's doing her job. He's bored. Those two can be two separate things, and both can be true. Stay with me now. And I think the other thing, the overarching thing, we always talk about this money thing. Money. And me coming from an impoverished neighborhood, money was always something I didn't want to talk about. And then when you live in Boston, money is something you better talk about. I'm like, yo, all these resources, you got Harvard, you got all, and they're like, jeez, it is expensive to live here. Then one of my favorite restaurants, I think, what do you call it, Slade's? You know what? If I walk up the street and around the corner, the life expectancy just changes. And I'm not even going that far. I'm like, this is in Boston. And so for Young Men with a Plan, we serve every edge of Boston. There's not nothing we leave out. Our program is 70% immigrant families. And then you got the media spewing all types of negative information about us. It's no damn, it's about us. I'm African-American, but I'm a Haitian. I am African-American, but I'm Cape Verde. I'm African-American, but I'm Dominican. I'm everything that you are. I'm everything that my young men are. And that's the way we move out here. And so when they say it about them, they're saying it about me. We took that personally. They take it personally. How do you expect a young man to know the discernment and how to navigate this space? You can say, oh, they mean this, they mean this. They don't understand that. Social media is where they spend their time at. And I'm going to get to you, Dr. Summer, but I'm on this tangent real quick. And I think for me, being in this wonderful position, 14 years, we just entered 10 years, yeah. Been in this wonderful position of 10 years. We just had 60 alumni. We just had 100 alumni continuously just hit us up, whether it be Dez, Justin, Elston, Linward, or even some of the school-based mentors. There's not a week that goes by that one of these young men don't call and ask us for help with putting a fire out. All they need is a life jacket. And you think about it, if you're out there on your journey to go to college, and you're trying to do the right thing, life is going to happen. But who is going to be your life jacket? They don't tell you about the heartbreaks. They don't tell you about that in school. They don't tell you about when people die, how you get through that. They don't tell you about your childhood friend getting murdered. You still love him, but you're in college. He's out here. They don't tell you how to deal with that. So you need young men with a plan to help these young men deal with that. Because that's it. The one thing about life, you can do all this. You can go this way. You can go live in Milton. You can live in Dorchester. You can live in Roxbury. Life is coming to get us all. And that's the reason we need to prepare these young men to be ready for that. Because the schools are doing the best that they possibly can. So while you're watching the media and you're listening to them saying teachers, think about this. And that teachers, to choose to teach you something in your heart. To choose to get up in the morning and be like, oh, I'm going to help somebody else's child when you have kids or whatever the case may be. That's almost crazy. That's crazy. And then if you go in these schools, you know they're crazy. And it's not to say the teachers love what they're doing. But now they're trying to teach a rewired mind. These babies' minds are wired for social media. They were born in the social media era. We were born in the basketball era. Everybody wanted to be like Mike. Now the social media is telling them, oh, you can find the positives about Trump. You can find the positives about Elon Musk. Oh, Andrew Tate is this. Oh, this is what a man is. This is what a man ain't. This is the type of person you should date. This is how you avoid this. Social media can tell them anything. And if you don't have a level of discernment, you're going to get caught on that rabbit hole and that hamster wheel. You're going to be locked in. So right now, through our partnership with Children's Hospital, we have the wonderful opportunity. So all these young men in these hoodies, they're working on a student-led project. Yeah, Gio, wave your hands. They're working on a student-led project to talk about the impacts of social media on their generation. And once they do it here, then they're going to partner. We have a brotherhood program. We have a Big Brother program in Harlem. We want to partner with them, and they're going to host their own focus groups. They're going through research methods. They're going to be taught civic engagement by a lawyer who's on our board. So they're going to lead that project, and they're going to come back and share the information that they learn. And so if you have any young people group and y'all want them to come over there, focus group, they charge a decent penny, but they'll do it. They will do it. And so before I pass the ball to Dr. Simon, yeah, we're in Boston, one of the most resourceful cities I've ever been in. Like, I couldn't even imagine this when I first moved. And I was like, man, what the hell? They got a college everywhere. You can get on a train. You can go here. You can go there. They got State Street. You got all these people, doctors, lawyers. I'm like, this is crazy for a country boy like myself. I'm like, yo, how did these babies get here? The schools are doing their job. So where are the other programs to mentor, coach, and educate the young man so they're prepared for a resourceful city like Boston? Because you can say these are opportunities, but I think that's also a missing piece that nobody talk about. But I'm gonna talk about it. There's a gap right here. We need skills. We need STEM. So there need to be more community programs, coaching and teaching and mentoring these young men, teaching them how to be boys. Teaching them how to navigate from being a boy to a young man into a man, so that they're more prepared to take full advantage of the city that they live in. Because Boston is a beautiful city if you can take advantage of it. And so now I want to pass the ball to you, Dr. Simon. I know I went off on a tangent, but I got to pass the ball to you. So looking at both of these screens, and then I want to ask you in a larger context as the Boston's Chief Behavioral Health Officer, what specifically is happening with our young man? Just what's happening?
Yeah, so, and can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So one, thank you for opening this space to me, and the mayor says hello. And as a psychiatrist, I'm much more comfortable listening. So I was completely comfortable with you going on your tangent. In terms of, and just for background and context, yes, Chief Behavioral Health Officer. So I'm Kevin. You can just call me Kevin. And I happen to be from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go. I didn't want to do this. Hey, I did not want to do this with Quinn.
So I am from Brooklyn, New York. And my parents are Haitian. And so my parents, they didn't know each other at the time when they were in Haiti, but in 67, 68, they migrated to New York, had me. Before me, I have two older sisters, Michelle and Natasha. And my dad is a deacon, Roman Catholic Church. He's the third Black deacon in the Archdiocese of New York. But he doesn't get paid for being a deacon. He was in the New York City public school system as a teacher. And so many days I would hear about some of the challenges or see the challenges on his face in being a teacher. And because he himself is like an educator, after he retired from teaching, he went on to do social work. So he leads grief counseling services for Catholic charities in New York. So in terms of like what I do, and I'm going to answer the question, recognizing people when they're in their most vulnerable state is something that I had like a front row seating at growing up. And there's something within, so there are a lot of Catholics in Haiti, but one of the things that's different than those who are here, you have this idea of like liberation theology, where you should be with those who are in most need. In part, that's kind of like where God is. And so when you ask the question, what's happening to young men, and I'll be more so young men of color, it is what's happening to young people, just in a greater amount, and sometimes in the shadow. So young people are experiencing greater amounts of stress, greater amounts of anxiety. I still am on call, and I engage people clinically, and it's not uncommon that we have people who present to our hospital, panic attacks, who think about suicide ideation, so the idea that they might want to not be here. And what can happen is, or what is happening, during the pandemic, as you noted, right, things shut down. We suggested to not allow people to commune like we are right now. And so if you were, say, latency, if you were 8 years old, 10 years old at that time, and then now 2 years passed, 3 years passed, and you're eighth grader, sixth grader, eighth grader, high school, and now it's like, oh, well, hey, go ahead and be social. Said, well, what is that? What do you mean be social? And yes, our phones are can be problematic. They can also be helpful at times in terms of finding relationships that you might not have otherwise found. But I can tell you, in part, the video. So I'm going to be really real because you were really real here. There's a number of young people who exist in our city where entirely want to be on social media for the wrong reasons. And so I'm being very candid just because I feel like
This is the
my
space.
guy is from Brooklyn, so I'm just going to be candid. So, we have like community violence that happens, right? And when I say community violence, I'm talking about firearm violence. And interesting enough, we see younger and younger people engaging in the act. And we have resources in our city as to how to figure out who's engaging in the act, or potentially why are they engaging in the act. But sometimes I'll see the act happening, and I'm like, that kid cannot be no more than 12 years old. And our BPD colleagues, our police department colleagues, have been able to kind of like identify patterns. And one of the patterns is you could end up on a video if you engage in a certain kind of act.
Man.
Now imagine you're 8 years old and someone's looking out for you because you look out for them. And that's what we call it positive reinforcement. Hey, look out for such and such. I got you, man. I'll give you my phone. That 8-year-old doesn't really know good, right from wrong. They're just, somebody's paying attention to me. Sure, I'll do that. Now the 12-year-old, that 8-year-old becomes 12 years old. It's like, hey, man, I know we've been looking out for each other, but now I need you to hold something for me. It's like, well, person's been looking out for me. Person's been watching my back. I feel safe around you. All right, yeah, I'll hold it for you. And you do that. And your anxiety level, also it drops because you did it one time. You didn't get caught. You do it again. You don't get caught. So now it's a normal habit to carry this thing around. Now you're 15. It's like, hey, bro, Jaykyri, like, I know you with us, man, but like, are you really with us?
I mean, you got money? Because they don't got money.
I mean, but are you really with us?
I'm with you.
Well, I'm going to need you to do something for me, man. And that do something might be harm somebody else. Yet from 8 years old, I've been giving you a lot of positive reinforcement, a lot of attachment is what we'd say, right? That, oh, damn, I don't, no, but they got such and such, they got your dog. So you might hear the phrase on dead dogs.
Man.
Right? So if you have a hoodie, don't raise your hand. For those who don't have a hoodie, who might often be sitting on the couch, you know what on dead dogs mean? Okay. All right. So dog, my dog, right? Have you heard that phrase? My dog, right? You might have heard it in a rap video, Notorious B.I.G. My dog, that's my friend, right? So when I didn't now say on dead dog, that means on my friend that I've lost, right? Which also implies I'm going to be really honest with you here. On dead dog, I'm going to get him back. It's like, okay. So when you hear about this like gap, it really is a gap. And there are organizations like YMWAP Plan, they're trying to fill this gap because I can tell you there are young people who are just in the gap, and there are people who see that no one else is looking at them and are very much willing to tap in to that resource. And what Jaykyri and here is trying to do is tap into the resource, but to actually invest in them. Whereas there are other nefarious individuals who are just trying to reap the benefit out of the person's life from a very young age. So in terms of what's happening, this is what we see on a day-to-day basis, and I see individuals who are here from BPS that I engage with and I talk to, and are very much, we're trying to help, but what happens in school is so infinitesimal compared to what the person is exposed to on a day-to-day basis. And so you might think to yourself, I mean, they're just playing video games. Well, like, is that really doing something? It's like, yes, it is. It's giving them a space to go to convene and start to recognize, wait a minute, I know who that is. I know who he is. I feel comfortable coming here. And I can start to be honest about anything, school, money, grades. I want to be able to talk to people about these topics because in school, you talk to me. You tell me to read such and such, come back after you did the assignment. But do you really get an opportunity as an 11-year-old, as a 12-year-old, as a junior to really think while you're in school? You get time to be told about things, but thinking actually doesn't often happen till graduate school. Where they say, oh, now take these ideas that we've given to you and now think. And we'll give you years to get the PhD. Think about it. That does not happen in sixth grade. And so bored, yeah, in the day and age that we live in where I can turn my phone on and I can get an instant dopamine buzz because I'm just looking, tap, 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 tap. Oh, LB, LeBron did this, tap. Oh man, you saw that Michigan fight? Oh, my wife went to Michigan. So that instantaneous feedback that you get, just think about this. Most things that we do, we have modernized, right? So everyone has likely a smartphone. In this building, there's likely not a rotary phone. The internet that we use, when I was in high school, it was bzzz, right? We have now modernized that, 5G. Yet, exactly how my dad teaches, going to class, sitting in a lecture for 35 minutes, is the same way in 1980 that we're doing it now in 2024. Yet we're supposedly wondering why people who are young are finding it difficult to sit and be told and be taught at, not engage, but taught at. Again, the same, your name, sir? Jason. Wherever you went to elementary school, your teachers taught you a certain way. It is likely the same way that is happening now. Yet the technology is completely different, right? Most teachers are not using PowerPoint. Most teachers are not using Canva. Most teachers are not using social media, right? And so now I ask you, and they talk about this generation not reading books. And I'll give you a textbook. And I say, hey, man, well, go read chapter 3. And chapter 3, what are you talking about? Why isn't this on the Kindle? Why haven't education, and I love educators, the system really has not really modernized, and yet we then expect young people who have modernized to adapt. And so when I see this, I see all of the dynamics that usually go on. We call them social determinants of health. So your environment, your neighborhood, your family, your transportation, these are all the things that like help us feel connected, feel a sense of like health. Oftentimes that exists outside of school. And so it is not surprising to me that unfortunately young men, particularly those of color, are finding this system is not meant for me. Mm. And when they go into school, what percentage of teachers of color are males of color?
7%, I think, the last time I looked in Boston.
7%. And 7%. There are studies that if you have one
positive, I'll finish this, one positive male of color role model in your life, your life trajectory just changes. So it changes like with the bare minimum. So I could definitely finish that because I think that was part of my dissertation.
Yeah, one.
Just one.
And so when I engage young men, and sometimes I'll do a home visit, and it's completely against the economics of the hospital. They're wondering why. And it's like I have to. Really can make a difference.
And I have a few more questions.
Sure.
Well, I think we're going to sit right here for a minute. And I think what you just said is the reason why Young Men with a Plan exists. Is we get to build those authentic relationships starting in 7th grade. And we get to meet the young people where they are. We don't have to, and I think you said it, to tell a young person to come here and be quiet and listen. I used to always just get so frustrated with my grandma. This church, she'd be like, sit down and listen. I'd be like, how? I'm trying. And I'm really trying really hard. And then what she would do is she would make me the usher so I could stand up. And I still would move. But I say that to say this is that he said it. I've said it. You guys know it. These boys, they need spaces where they can be and they can truly learn and they can tell you how they feel and they can get what they call it getting off. They want to pop their stuff. They don't call pop their stuff. They say pop their ish. They need that so they can learn from you. They want they want raw conversations. I had a young man tell me the other day, I overheard the conversation the whole time. It's 2 of them, freshmen. And I try to act, helicopter sometimes. So I try to go in the other room, act like I didn't see. But I'm still hearing. And he was like, man, you got to just do it. And I'm like, do what? And I'm listening and I'm trying not to listen. And he was telling me, shoot your shot. And I'm like, and then they come and ask me, hey, Jay, I know you old and all, but would you shoot your shot? I say, yeah, man, life is short. Shoot your shot. Yep. And then when he sees us today when we were at his school, he say, Jay, I shot my shot. But I'm part of that.
So it's true in terms of so what's very interesting. So there's a sense of when I'm engaging police officers, my clinical colleagues, that there's a misnomer around young people of color, but particularly young men of color, where there's this sentiment that, this kid's like braggadocious or bravado. I say, yes, yeah, actually, a lot of times it is a lot of insecurity as masquerading and being projected as, I'm tough, don't come around me, right? And I'm going to call a colleague out here. So we've had people, if you saw the person walking, you would assume like, oh man, this kid's got a lot of confidence, right? And in the hospital, I'm talking with them. I'm like, hey man, there's a lot of security here. We have to just be here. But we're gonna be here. Nah, man, F that. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to warn you. They have barrages of people that can keep coming. We just have to be here, right? So presuming that the young person, for whatever reason, did not believe what I was saying, was trying to leave. I said, they won't let you. You cannot just walk out of here. And the kid just screaming for his dad. Dad. It's like, yeah, you were giving off a lot of this. I'm here. I want to see all of them come at me. I'm like, no, you don't, man. You don't. And as he's trying to get past, he starts to scream for his father, right? And we've heard lessons of people screaming for their mother, right? At the core, some of the young men that we engage are not very confident, right? And so you say, hey, man, let's do some problems together. Nah, man, math is stupid. Well, what do you mean math is stupid? What does that actually mean, right? And really, I slow down. I'm like, no, really help me understand. oh, you're not. And so this is learning. Learning is challenging. And oftentimes it's most challenging right when you're about to learn the thing, right? And so for me, it's like, oh, I like to play basketball. At some point in time, I hated dribbling with my left hand. Back in the day, we used to have these visors where I couldn't see below my eye. I just had to
black
feel.
goggles.
Yes. But then eventually I keep doing it. And then it's like, oh, this is easy, right? And I say it's easy, but the weeks that it took me to get to easy were frustrating, right? And in education, I tell a lot of educators, let's not shine a light on the frustration part. Actually help them understand that the frustration is actually part of this like necessary process to start to feel comfortable in the calculus or in the writing. There's a sentiment that, and it, because of, again, I don't want to blame everything on social media, but there's a sentiment that things are easy, right? Like just quick. And so people, oh man, like I'm like, well, when I'm presenting myself, I'm giving you a curation of like 20 years. This is, trust me, there's a lot of no's here, but I got very callous to no. In part because I know if I keep applying and there's going to be some percent that I get, but I have to get so comfortable with hearing no. I get people, my wife's, well, you're a good writer, Kevin. I said, well, no, I'm just very comfortable engaging with the nuances of like feedback, where I recognize, oh, the person not actually attacking me. Okay, Kevin, you're not making your message clear enough. People, sometimes young people particularly, everything feels like a personal attack, right? But how do you help them get past the idea that actually, I'm not concerned about you, the person, in terms of your ability to answer this. I want to help you. You happen to be struggling right now. You need psychological safety to be vulnerable enough to say, I need help. People. So when I ask, did you go to the teacher? Nah, man, he ain't gonna listen to me. Oh, did you go?
Did you go?
Right? Did you go? No. Like, okay. And I talk to college kids. Same child. I'm like, like they're there specifically to answer these questions. But the sentiment, again, you school, I'm sure somewhere, hopefully somewhere it says grades. Right? Grades, yes.
Yeah, it should be grades.
Grades. When I see somebody, or I keep, again, the teacher spotlight the high achiever. But if you're not in that high achieving group, you're like, damn. Right? Yet most are not in the high achieving group. Right? And so I very much, people, how long did you take to go to school, Dr. Simon? I said, well, at college was 5 years. I said, how soon should you graduate college? They're like 4 years. I said, no, that's just a made up number. You finish whenever you finish. Right? There's this idea that we become very fixated on these like boxes that we create for ourselves. And when you get fixated on the box, when you're not in the box, you're very frustrated. Right? So I'm like, oh, 5 years. I'm like, how long did it take to graduate med school? They're like, I don't know. I was like, okay, Google it. And they're like, 4 years. I was like, okay, ask me how long I took. I was like, oh, 5 years. They're like, well, why? I took a year off between my third and fourth year to do research. They're like, well, why? I said, because there was an opportunity. Like, why would I not take this opportunity? Yet I had parents in an environment that made it so like normal to be willing to try, just see what happens. So I'm always asking questions.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question. Man. You said a lot, but I want to unpack this. Maybe some parents in the room. So for these parents who are trying to educate their young people, and they're trying to tell them like, no, I care about you. Stop taking this personally. What advice do you give them? How do they navigate that relationship? Because they love this baby so much. They want to protect them from the ugliness of the world, but they also want them to just learn this lesson. And this lesson here may be, little Jaykyri, stop picking on this person in class and just pay attention. I know this is your buddy outside of class, but stop touching him, or whatever the lesson is.
Yeah.
So how do they navigate that relationship?
So, and there is no blueprint to the parents that are here, so apologies that we haven't created it yet. And so there's a balance. So I'll give two personal examples. And we were talking about this before. So I grew up in Brooklyn, East Flatbush. Last stop on the 2 train is Brooklyn College. And that's 10 minutes from where I grew up. Many Saturday mornings, my mother would wake me up to go swimming. Many Saturday mornings, I did not want to go swimming. Like, why? The water, they weren't heated. The water's cold. Why did I? Yet now, I very much appreciate that I can swim, right? Nearly a decade ago, I got married to my wife. I planned like the honeymoon. I put many swimming things, water things in it. Up until that point, I never really even asked Brittany, can you swim? So we were riding horses into the water because horses can naturally swim.
Yeah.
One of the responsibilities is you slide off and you hold the tail. My wife was having a full panic attack. And I'm like, babe, what's wrong? She said, I can't swim. I said, oh, shoot. I did not know this. Because why would I know that, right? There are some things that you ask your kids to do, not because they want to do it, because it's going to be good for them in the future, right? So I use the example of swimming. Now there's another example where my parents capitulated to me, piano. I would love to know how to play the piano. But 2 months in, they stopped. I picked something else up, basketball. Yes, I can play basketball, but I really wish I could play the piano. So there are sometimes you have to keep your kid in the activity because they will eventually appreciate the activity. Now, how do you pick and choose which activity you're going to keep them in? That is between you and a higher being. But there are some things that you do because you know it's for the greater good. Now, in terms of the emotional intelligence and how do you cultivate that in your child? One, you have to allow young people to have their emotions. I tell young people this all the time, I'm like, oh, it's complete, whatever feeling you're having, it is likely the appropriate feeling at the time. Mm-hmm. Now, how do you convey that you're having that feeling outside of just a physical response? Yelling, punching something, right? I got to use words. And words are actually really, really powerful. Give you an example. In part, it's late. My daughter, she's 6 years old. Now, Mondays is daddy's late day. So she's not going to call my phone. But on non-Mondays, if it gets to 7:25, my phone's going to ring. And she's going to say, I'll give you, again, my guy from Brooklyn. So we're going to be very transparent. So she will give you an example. All right. So hopefully this is loud enough. All right. When are you coming home, Daddy? Right? When are you coming home, Daddy? And so I get home, and at one point she said, Daddy, when you come home, when you say you're going to come home at 7, and you come home at 7:30, it makes me sad. Now, I did not say, Brooke, don't be sad.
Yeah.
Brooke, Daddy really wanted to be home at 7. I say, Brooke, thank you for telling Daddy. I give her a hug. Acknowledging what you're feeling is appropriate. I appreciate that you told me. And yes, Daddy can change how he engages. And I can be more honest, not just to Brooke, but with myself, to say, Kevin, don't tell the people at home what you aspire to be home, right? Tell them when you will be home. Because it's much easier if I say, Brooke, Dad's going to be home today at 7:45. And I show up at 7:45, yeah. Right? But that's emotional intelligence for myself, because I can, and I engage with many people who think, yeah, but I was doing the right thing. I said, no. To that young person, that is the world that they experience. That made her sad. So I have to acknowledge that. And so when our kids are frustrated, you got to acknowledge the frustration and say, okay, how are we going to manage this frustration? And a lot of times, particularly for boys of color, the framing of managing frustration is to stop crying, go to your room. So the frustration is going to come out. So I much rather you not go to your room, not stop crying. Let's talk about it. And again, clinically, I see this. Young people are engaged with like DYS. It's like your dog died, not dog, but actual friend. It's like that. There's something there, man. Nah, doc. I'm like, no. Don't tell me nah, doc. A person you had some form of relationship with is not here. It has to somehow impact you. Now, I fully recognize the environment in which they're coming from. They may not very well have the space to acknowledge that it has impacted them. And so they, yes, wear the mask with another mask. Yeah, right? But you got to understand that. And so sometimes when I'm talking to my BPS class, I'm like, just be happy that they showed up. Because this idea of school truancy, greater than 10% of days missed, is very common. And for some people, the environment that they're coming from, again, the psychological safety to be in the environment to learn, their native environment is not psychologically safe. So don't expect much learning to happen.
And we know that before you can learn, you have to feel safe. That's a basic need.
Yeah. And so literally this, and he didn't ask me, but literally this place, like for a parent to know 1178, I know where my son is. I know that there's people who are around him that care. There's really, that is invaluable. Invaluable.
Don't do this to me, man.
It's okay to cry.
Oh man, we're in a great space. So I got to ask you this question because I know we're getting the time before we go to Q&A. And I think this question is like, because even when I heard you on stage 2 years ago, I was like, yo, wow, you being you, what the hell do you do for yourself and your colleagues? Like, how do you protect this? Because I'm constantly asking these people, these wonderful, my team, they're all out here and they put this whole, I'm constantly asking them, please take a wellness day because you need it. Because I need it. Mm-hmm. And I know you need it. And so I'm going to ask this question. How do you and your colleagues maintain your own wellness in your workspace?
So I do play basketball. If there's any young people who think they play basketball, let me know. If I'm presenting at a conference, I do try to go somewhere that has a pool. But since 2016, I've regularly engaged in therapy myself once a week. Right now, it's currently Tuesdays at 6:00. And unless a therapist or I are on, a vacation or something, I'm going to meet. So I often tell people, you don't just have to go to therapy just when there's a crisis happening. Actually, it's very healthy to just go. And if a crisis is happening, you've already had it set up in your normal cadence and routine. So the things that I do for myself are physical activity. Therapy is a space. Being with family. Yesterday, Sunday, I go to church. I happen to attend Bethlehem and JP. So doing this kind of work, it's impossible to do it with just your own skin and bones. There has to be some greater entity that helps fuel you, because it's just not possible to change people, change behavior, just because I said it. It's because that's just not how it's going to work. So I very much do believe in higher powers, whether it's God for you or some other entity. There has to be something. And I also give myself space. What I say is to think. In part, yes, there's meetings and meetings, 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 but a lot of times I will take time to just think. And I was telling some of the young men from New Mission, because one asked me, how did I know I wanted to be a doctor?
I know who asked you that. I know.
Where is he?
Adrian. He definitely asked you that. He's right here.
And I was explaining that when I was in college, and so I went to Morgan State University, that's in Baltimore. And my sophomore year, someone comes in, like, hey, there's a program called Profile for Success. It's at University of Michigan. And the person is talking in class, and they're like, they'll pay you $4,000. And it was like the 10, go to the University of Michigan. I'd never been to the state of, I could have pointed to the state of Michigan. But to go to Ann Arbor and learn about medicine. I was like, well, how much? And I went, great experience. Then I started to realize, like, and this is the exposure. So you talk about they have career nights. You cannot be what you cannot see. It just, there's no possibility, because you cannot fathom it if you don't know it, right? So when I went, I was like, oh man, this is literally amazing. I come back so this sophomore summer, I go, I experience it, I meet other people, I come back to Morgan, and now I'm like, oh man, like this like medicine thing like can actually be done. Then I just start getting engaged, and there's a program. So I'm at Morgan State, HBCU in Baltimore. 15 minutes away is Johns Hopkins University that has Johns Hopkins Medical School. And there's a program called BASE, Brotherhood Alliance for Science and Engineering. And BASE was like a tiered mentoring program. You'd have Hopkins medical students, mentor, tutor, college students would mentor, tutor, Baltimore City high school students. We all looked like each other. And a friend, who's now a friend, Errol Fields. Errol was the first brother I knew that had two doctorates, MD, PhD. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, what is that? I don't even know how to pronounce those words.
And I was like, Errol, what? Like, you are... And literally, he was blowing my mind at the time. I was like, you're just super, super smart. But then it's like, he's playing basketball with me. And we like the same music. And then he went off to residency at Boston Children's Hospital. And this is 2009, 10. But it really was seeing, like, wait a minute. There are people who look like me, talk like me, like the same things that I do. Yes, they happen to be doing this thing, but it became like tangible, real, right? And what were we doing? We were engaging many times on the weekend, not in a classroom. Not in a classroom. On a bus, on a court, in an open space, just talking. And on my own, I got to digest that, metabolize that. And then when I went back to my dorm, oh man, so another friend, James, if James could do this, I could do this. Right? And it started to be this, wait a minute, like why can't I do that? And now we still are friends. And guys of a certain color engage and joke a certain way. And so they might see that I have this role. And like, well, I mean, I guess you're all right, Kev. Right? But I know that and then they'll say, well, we are proud of you. Right? But I was engaged with people who looked like me, who cared about me, not trying to pivot me the wrong way, not even pressuring me, by the way, right? James, Errol, Casey, there's a lot. No one said you have to do these things. Just the environment in which we were in cultivated a willingness to say, wait a minute, Jaykyri's doing that. I'm going to very much encourage Jaykyri in what he wants to do, but I'm also going to realize, wait a minute, I can do the thing that I want to do. And so we have a good network, but it was the space that is being like created here, the milieu that is here. It's what enables the person to leave here and say, wait a minute, I can do that. And
I think I'm gonna do the mic drop for you. Jeez. So I don't even know if we want to talk about Young Men with a Plan. I think he just talked about it for us, and that's why we exist. It's healthy exposure, and he said it in so many words. School, they're doing their job, but if Young Men with a Plan, we need to do our job, and we are. And I think it's not. I know we better do it now. We better do it fast and in a hurry. That's what my high school coach said. Jay, you better do it now, fast, and in a hurry. And I'm like, those often mean the same thing. Yes. Yes. So we better continue to do this work. And Marsha knows she probably get tired of my emails in the morning, but I wake up thinking about the gaps in mind, because the moment you read something like that, and then you go outside and you see it, and then you're in these beautiful, brave spaces, and you're seeing these young men go. Just last week, I think happened to go to, or 2 weeks ago, I happened to have an opportunity to go present at Life Science Cares, one of our biggest funders at Young Men with a Plan. Think about this. Walked into this space, and I had Des the Dino. I call him a Dino because he's been here longer than almost anybody. We had alums with us that we were pushing to go to STEM. And now they are mechanical engineers, civic engineers. And what was the other one he was talking about? Astrophysics. I said, yo, stop right there. Don't even bring up that word. But the fact that we took 3 of our alums to this event who are already graduated with the engineering degree, that lets me know this works. But we're only in year 10. We're only getting started. So we need your support. We need you to be a part of this wonderful village. And you heard it from Dr. Simon. He validated all the work that we're doing.